appreciate it. And let me thank everyone that's standing with me today, and those that couldn't make it. Maxine Waters was a big part of this team as well, and we thank her. My majority leader, Eric Kaner, unbelievable display of leadership, just unparalleled in what I've seen since I've been here. Just a tremendous job. So there are many that we want to thank, and a lot of those that were directly involved in this process of standing at the podium, and I want to personally thank them. I think I just want to make 2 points and then I'll pass it on. Number one, this is what I came to Congress to do. This effort, this massive effort, will really bring demonstrable results for helping people's quality of life. It's not just for Superstorm Sandy victims. That obviously is going to be tremendously helpful for those that are trying to rebuild, but for anyone that is not even yet mapped into a new flood zone. A lot of people don't even realize the crisis that would have been coming, the crisis that's looming. So I think for quality of life, for keeping people in their homes, this is a tremendous victory for the entire Congress. The second thing why I think this is extremely important nationally, not just for my district in Staten Island and Brooklyn and all the people it's going to help, not just for the districts that you see represented by the members, but this is one of the few times that while I've been here, both parties really came together. I mean, this is truly a bipartisan bill. It's not something that we happen to get one or two members from the other side to kind of go along. This was a collaborative effort all the way through. And I'm very proud of that, because we know that there's been a lot of brinksmanship and it's been difficult for the two sides of the aisle to come together. But this bill proves that it can be done. And I'm very proud to be a part of this team. So with that, I just want to say to someone that I consider a good friend and someone that was relentless, especially when it came to making this bill a better bill than the Senate. And in particular, making sure it was retroactive, that we didn't leave out those people that their premiums already spiked, but the bill wasn't signed into law. So making it retroactive was something that Gregory Meeks would not relent on, and I'm very grateful for his participation in all that he brought to this team. He's a true leader, my friend Gregory Meeks.
Thank you, Michael. And let me first say thank you to all of the team that you see up here and those that could not make it, because that is exactly, the process is the first thing that I want to talk about. It was truly where we were behind doors and people were having conversations back and forth as to what was important and how we could get it done. And was there differences? There was differences that had to be resolved. But we resolved them. We wanted to make sure that they were done. And it was because we cared for the American people and those that were victimized by Superstorm Sandy and who could be victimized in the future because of flood maps. And so partisanship was out of the way. And so Michael Grimm was working very hard. We would look at our respective districts and then talk to colleagues and said, we must focus and get it done, whatever it takes. And that's what took place here. My ranking member on financial services, Maxine Waters, whose name was affiliated with the previous bill, and who said that there was unintended consequences. And therefore, she wanted to make sure she had fixed the unintended consequences so that people are not aggrieved. To Leader Cantor, who went out of his way to negotiate with Democrats to make this happen. So that's why the process worked. And you had this complete bipartisan bill. Finally, let me just say this, and why this bill is important. Because those who live in flood areas, those who invest, you know, for most Americans, the largest investment that they will make in their life is in their home. That's the largest investment they will make in their life. And that investment was on the verge of being wiped out. Those individuals would not have been able to sell their homes if they choose to. Their property values would have been in the dumps. They would not have been able to continue to live what is now known as the American dream. My parents bought a home in the Rockaways that was victimized, that would have been victimized had we still had the home, by the flood. And so I could see individuals that were hurt. This bill's fixing. This bill gives them the encouragement to move on and know that their investment in the American dream will continue to live. And so I want to thank again my colleagues for working together. I think that we can do more together in the future. I look forward to doing that. And I want to thank especially my buddy, Michael Grimm, who, you know, let me tell you, he was relentless in trying to make sure that we had a deal here, and I thank him for it. Thank you.
The next member of Congress that I'm going to ask to step up literally wrote the bill with me in a very demonstrative way. Bill Cassidy is probably one of the most knowledgeable members of Congress when it comes to flood insurance. And when I was, any time that I wasn't sure of something because of a technical matter, all I had to do was get on the cell phone and call Bill. Hey, Mike, yep, let's sit down and go through it. That's very complicated. This is my understanding. Let's get FEMA on the phone. Bill Cassidy has to share ownership of, as being author of this bill. And I can honestly say without hesitation, we would not have this bill as good as it is without Bill Cassidy. So Bill, I'm in your debt. Thank you for making this happen. Thank you.
Man, this is a great day. This is not just for the Gulf Coast and for the Northeast. Any place that has color on it is at threat of having a capricious increase in their premiums in a way that prices homeowners, sellers, and buyers out of doing whatever they would normally do. One place that's not on there is Denver. Denver has a little bit of color. After those recent floods, that is now a bright red. Why is that important? Think about it. The mile-high city will be hit by remapping in a way that those who wish to sell their homes will see a 40% decrease in the value. Those who wish to purchase homes have no certainty as to what those future premiums would be. If you're a widow and your husband just died, and you have to sell now to go into assisted living, realtors tell me that your value was just hit by 40%. Now, by the way, this bill does things that is fiscally responsible. It pays for itself. And let it be known, under the current Bigger Waters bill, the NFIP was about to go into a death spiral. CBO estimates that for every 10% increase in premiums, there's a 1.4% decrease in folks subscribing. Now, that being said, when you have a 2,000% increase, people are not going to sign up. They are going to do their first payment they need to do to get their mortgage, and after that, they do it no longer. And FEMA's fixed cost gets concentrated on fewer and fewer beneficiaries, which drives up the cost, and so that widow whose husband just died now sees a 60% depreciation in her value. This is, I think, a triumph for representative democracy. Wherever there's color on that map, there are homeowners, home sellers, and home buyers calling members of Congress to say something's got to change. And we changed it, both to make it work better for those folks, but also to work better for the taxpayer. We have eliminated the risk of the taxpayer being on the hook for billions of dollars because a program goes into the death spiral. I think we would all agree this is not the last step, this is the next step. And it's the next step that will continue to benefit homeowners, buyers, sellers, and taxpayers. I will also compliment my colleagues. When we saw that Mr. Meeks come on board, we knew we had a bipartisan bill with a great advocate. When my Floridian and Mississippi and Northeast colleagues began to speak of the issues facing them, that's when leadership of both parties understood this wasn't just coastal Louisiana or coastal Mississippi, it was nationwide. So anyway, thank you all. Thanks to the American people. The American people made this happen, and I particularly thank them. And now I recognize Mr. Palazzo.
Thank you, Congressman Cassidy. I just want to let y'all know that the Senate has a great opportunity to pass a very balanced, very sensible bill that provides much needed reforms, and it does it in a very compassionate way. But really the people behind me on the stage receive most of the thanks. This has been a tireless effort, exhaustive. I mean, we started this probably March of 2013 when we first realized the remapping was going to devastate our property owners along the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and we realized it was going to affect Louisiana. It was going to affect not just the Gulf Coast, but the Northeast, the East Coast, West Coast, and pretty much everybody in between. And we realized real quick that our number one priority would have to be to make sure that the flood insurance program remains solvent. And to do that, we have to have a program that remains available and affordable. And we've all listened. We're here because we listen to our constituents. Back home, I listened to South Mississippians, and I carried their voice and their concerns up to leadership. And that's where Eric Cantor and Maxine Waters and others and a huge collaborative bipartisan effort came together. And what's amazing about this, and I don't know if it gets enough justice or attention, is that we were able to put politics aside and put people and sound policy ahead of politics. And we were able to come up with a very sensible bill, a compassionate bill to help homeowners. And I'm already seeing the effect of this. They're talking about this in our district right now, and how it's going to provide stability and certainty to the homeowners, but also to the communities and property values. And that's what we need. That's why we urge and when we ask the Senate to embrace this bill as fast as possible, because it does everything we want. It's paid for. It provides grandfathered properties the relief that they need. It protects home values, and it's going to put NFIP on the path to solvency. And again, I wouldn't want to share the stage with anybody else but my colleagues who are with me here today, because they're going to save thousands of Mississippians thousands of dollars and allow them to keep their properties. Thank you very much.
Congressman Vern Buchanan, please, if you could share a few words with us.
Yeah, let me just say it's a huge win, not just for my congressional district in Florida. Florida has 38% of the policies, so it's been a big team effort. And I just want to say the same thing to all my colleagues up here. It doesn't work this way very often. I think Congressman Meeks mentioned that, but it's nice when it does. There was a lot of obstacles. We were able to pull that together and work together. I'd also like just to say, as the co-chairman of the Florida delegation, we have 27 members. All 27 members voted for this bill, so it's huge. But as they mentioned earlier about certainty and where they can get some relief, a lot of these property owners today is huge. I've done at least 3 or 4 town halls. We have a town hall up here with our congressional delegation and back in the district. We had a lot of people that were fearful of losing their home, where premiums were $400 and went to $4,000. And I'm not just talking about rich people on the water. I'm talking about the average person that's got a home that they paid for, but maybe they're counting on their Social Security to pay for the insurance. So it's been a gigantic issue. I'll just say in closing, again, Eric Cantor, I just want to take his leadership he provided. We probably wouldn't be here today. And it's been a team effort. My colleagues in Florida and everybody up here on the stage. This is a big win for our country. And I'd also just say I urge the Senate to deal with this today. This is a much better bill than the Senate bill. I think that was a start, but this finished on a very, very high plane. And I can tell you back in our district, the feedback I've had in the last couple of days, people are very, very excited about this because it gives them, like I said, certainty and some immediate relief. And I yield back.
The next member of Congress, I just want to emphasize something. No one brought more passion to the debate to get this done. There was no one member more vocal with leadership and among the coalition that we put together than my friend from across the river, Frank LoBiondo.
Thank you, Michael. Great to be here today. This is a result of a relentless commitment by all of us here that should be a model for a lot of other things that happen. And I know that I was driven, and I believe the other members were driven, by the prospect of going home to a church breakfast, a fire company barbecue, and explaining to one of those constituents who was first devastated 16 months ago by Sandy, who's still not back in their home, that they've got this crazy flood insurance situation that they're dealing with, and Congress can't do anything about it. I was not willing to accept that, and I know my colleagues were not willing to accept it. And from the Jersey delegation, it was very bipartisan. Chris Smith and John Runyon were very involved with this. And Bill Pascrell, Albio Sires, Frank Pallone could not ask for better partners. And that's why you see the success story today of a common sense, bipartisan, fiscally responsible bill that we can go home and understand, as Bill Cassidy so eloquently explained, to that widow or just to that homeowner that may need to sell their home, why they're not gonna be devastated. So I think we need to bring this kind of enthusiasm and passion to a lot of other issues we're dealing with. But on this particular case, we're very proud of what we were able to do on behalf of our constituents and look forward to the Senate doing this and the President signing it. Thank you.
I'd also like to, he couldn't make it today, but my Democrat colleague Cedric Richmond also played a vital role in this, and I just don't want to thank him as well. Cedric was a great partner. We've worked on many things together, but he really stood up and helped in collaboration with all of us on this stage, so I just wanted to mention it again. Now, my good friend from Florida, Mario Diaz-Balart, please.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. You know, a lot has been said, so I don't want to repeat it. I do want to first thank your leadership, your passion. Mr. Cassidy, you know, my God, it was every time we spoke to you about this issue, it was a learning experience. And all of this team that did so much work. Sometimes, I know it's hard to believe, but sometimes government makes mistakes. And sometimes Congress makes mistakes. And sometimes Washington acts with, frankly, very little common sense. What I'm very proud of here is this is a common sense bill to deal with a situation that was frankly going to be hurting thousands and thousands and millions of Americans, people who are going to potentially lose their homes. And what you saw here today, the culmination of a lot of hard work in a bipartisan, non-political way to bring some common sense, some basic common sense, so that folks would not lose their homes, so that folks' entire lives would not be devastated. So I'm very proud of my colleagues. I also need to mention Leader Cantor, because there's no doubt about it, without his leadership, this would have not been possible. Without his willingness to stand up, to take the bullets, and to sit down with members of both parties to make sure that the negotiations, again, reached this conclusion. So it's a great day for all Americans. It's a great day for those who are not going to lose their homes, who are not going to be priced out of their homes. And yes, even in Washington, it's a great day for common sense.
And certainly not least, the closer, Mariano Rivera, for our team, who helped push this over the line, Gus Bilirakis.
Thank you, I appreciate it, thank you. That's a lot of pressure there, Mariano. Greatest closer in the history of baseball. In any case, I just want to, first of all, I don't want to repeat too much, but without these guys, it could not have been done. We had this working group, we worked for weeks, we built consensus, bipartisan bill, worked with the Democrats. This is how Congress should work. This is a victory for the American people. In particular, this is a victory for seniors. You know, seniors are extremely conscientious. They want to pay their bills, but they live on a fixed income. And I had constituents that bought a house 30 years ago, and on the water, maybe the canal, what have you, they bought it for $100,000, what have you. They couldn't afford to pay a $10,000 to $15,000 annual premium on their flood insurance. But you know, they're the ones that want to pay the bill right away because they're so conscientious. It's a victory for veterans, it's a victory for middle class, seniors, all the American people. We could not have done it without Mr. Cassidy, Mr. Grimm. I tell you what a great member he is, what a great advocate he is. He's a bulldog. And when he says he's going to get something done, it gets done. Leader Cantor was outstanding. The leadership he showed on this bill, he fought for us. He fought for the members. He fought for the American people. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.